you wake up the same way that you always wake up from your trance. And you are in the room that has now been your home for a good couple decades. I think it's been like upwards of 40 to 50 years, I think, since your anamnesis. And you wake up with this sense of finality because you have become painfully aware that this is the last day you will wake up here with your family in this town that you've never left in this life or the last. What are you doing?
Excuse me. I think Felyn is gonna kind of take a second to just kind of breathe and take it all in and process that, like, this is gonna be her last time here for a while, at least until she has the opportunity to come back. And what time is it?
I will leave that up to you the elves have a very broad and flexible sleep schedule, I think, because of the way that trances work. So I think it's whatever your average day waking up would look like. So if you wake up at like 1 in the morning, that's fine. If you wake up at like 12 p.m., that's fine. And you also get to choose when and where you go, like whenever you use the spell scroll.
Fuck yeah. Okay. Also, she has woken up at her usual time of 2 in the morning.
Delicious.
And after taking that bit of time to kind of settle herself, she will get up and she's going to set out to kind of, I guess, tidy up the home one last time. There's not a lot of elves in her den, so I imagine they don't get up nearly this early.
No, not at all. Like, I think the occasional, like, you'll see the occasional den mate who's, like, maybe up during a long night, like, about to go to bed. Like, I think the idea that you're cleaning up and, like, maybe, like, a changeling or, like, maybe, like, Bova's partner, Zane. Like, I feel like you might, like, run by as, like, they go to bed, but you're up cleaning, and I think that's more the norm.
Okay. So she's gonna start tidying up and whatnot. And she's also in an attempt to make breakfast for everyone. She does not usually cook, and when she does, it's nothing, like, it's like a small thing for her. Mm-hmm. So I'm unsure how well that would go, but she is gonna try.
That's really sweet. What do you make for them?
That's a good question. Xhorhas cuisine is a bit weird just because of what the agriculture is.
Yes, I am aware of that. Yes. Here's another fun question. Do you think it's something? I know that you're making an effort to cook for everybody else, but do you think that you're trying to do it with an air of something nice? Do you think that you're trying to just make something simple, but you just want everybody to have some so they don't have to worry about it? Like, what kind of vibes are you coming into it with?
I think it's definitely a thing of, like, she doesn't want anyone to have to worry about making food or cleaning or taking care of anything in the house today. Mm-hmm. So I think it's more just something simple for everyone, so that they can just all have a nice little meal.
I think that's very sweet. I can definitely say that since you're not trying to tax yourself in particularly, I won't even say that this really has a role. I think that you can very easily make the kind of things that you fix for yourself, but you make it for your family.
Fuck yeah. Scrambled eggs and toast.
We love We Love looks at smudged handprint fungus wheat toast.
Yeah, it's some kind of weird fucking mushroom bread.
Yeah, maybe like an ear fungus salad on the side, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's really cute. Yeah. You spend a bit of time because your den is particularly lively. Because you have a decent amount of people who all live in the same house, and then also there is Nim, of course, who's a part of your den. He actually has his own home, but he does visit. I want to say semi-regularly. Like, I think he tries to make time anytime you guys have an event, or like maybe once a week, to come and stop by.
Hell yeah.
And you do that.
She'll also. What?
I was just gonna say you do that in like the quiet of the night in your home, and I just think it sounds nice.
She's also gonna put on a pot of tea to begin brewing.
Oh, delicious! What kind of tea?
As someone who doesn't know teas,
Fair enough.
I'm
Fair enough.
unsure.
That's okay. That's okay. It can just be something, you know, for people to drink.
Something herbal.
Something herbal. Oh, that's nice. I think it'll really like wake you up, and like I feel like that balances a light breakfast.
Nice. But yeah, I think for the most part she's just gonna spend this morning in her den's home and spending the morning with them and eating breakfast and preparing to go about her last rounds before leaving.
I think that's really sweet. I think that with that amount of time you have about, after cooking, I think you have maybe like 2 or so hours of just like free time with yourself and contemplation, thinking about your day and what this journey will mean. And people kind of start waking up around, I want to say 6 in the morning, and it's like it's staggered. Not everybody wakes up at the same time, but your den in particular tries to have like group meals. So even if people are sleepy, they try to get up at least around breakfast time. And you kind of see, as you are kind of hanging out in your home, a purple tiefling with messy pale hair, kind of like a really pale 5 o'clock shadow that looks weirdly like highlight on like his chin as like he's scratching it, and getting a big yawn. And you recognize Merritt, your grand nephew, I believe is his official title. And he looks surprised to see you, and he's like, "Oh, hey, kid. How you doing?"
Felyn will give a big smile and she'll say, "I'm doing lovely, thank you. I did my best to prepare breakfast for everyone."
Oh, that's so lovely. You're usually off scurrying around at this hour, and he's gonna kind of look over the breakfast. And he comes up as he's doing it, and he kind of gives you like this sort of side hug and knocks his horns against yours, albeit fake ones. And he goes to help himself and sit down with you.
Felyn will sit down with him with her own little cup of tea, and she'll say, "Well, seeing as it is my last day here before leaving, I wanted to spend more time here before I leave, especially seeing as I don't have any of my regular duties to attend to today."
Yeah, I guess you did get all of that wrapped up already. Makes sense, makes sense.
She nods. "I have a few last minute things I would like to go out and do today, but those can wait until later."
You see him kind of give a nod, and through a mouthful of ear fungus, he kind of has to stifle another yawn, And as you guys are kind of chit-chatting, you see more and more people kind of like pour out. Two of which include like his little daughters. I believe their names are, Jenny and Chandra. And as people are kind of milling about and getting food to come and sit and chat, everybody kind of stopping to acknowledge you. I feel like your family is particularly close. Definitely, I can imagine that like people like acknowledge you and pay respect to you and like talk to you, but I feel like there's an extra bit of somberness to it since this is in and of itself part of the farewell. And you see come out practically stomping through the house as is their wont. You see your favorite family member come through, huge curling horns, shaggy fur, leaning on these doorways that were made bigger specifically to accommodate your Minotaur brethren. And you see them land eyes on you, and even the sight of you seems to brighten their eyes as they kind of grin and come over to you. And for old time's sake, give you a playful headbutt. Generally, Bova kind of softens the blows because you don't technically have the skull for horns anymore, but out of almost a symbol of respect and playful sibling rivalry, bonks you real good.
Felyn will do her best to bonk him right back.
Nice. I think, this is cute. I'm getting soft. I can't get soft. I'm the DM. I have to illustrate. I think that they sort of give you a grin and say, you're gonna have to do better. You're gonna have to do better than that when I'm gone. Who's gonna keep up that thick skull of yours? Kind of taps you where they bonked you.
Felyn will laugh a bit. Just say, I'm sure there will be some training program at this fancy college for such things. They seem to be varied.
You see them go to plop down next to you. I'm kind of imagining that dinners are at this really big but really small table. You have so many people that flit in and out, it's a bit easier for people to just find a place to sit on cushions or the ground as opposed to having chairs, especially considering people bringing in friends or bringing in partners. And they kind of throw an arm around your shoulder. And as you're having this moment with your family, even though it's not technically the big send-off, Bova is staying particularly close to you today. As you also know that this will be the last time you see them before their posting in Kazakhstan.
I think Felyn is kind of in a similar way. I think she's kind of been finding more excuses to like hug and be close to everyone.
Mm-hmm. I think it's something really interesting to see because maybe to the outside perspective it looks just like any other like family gathering where everybody is really close, but I feel like all of you can really feel this again sort of bittersweetness to the whole affair, not only because of you but also because of Bova, and it's sort of like a tandem awareness of members of the den that are going on a new path in their life.
I think since this is also Bova's kind of last day in the den for a while, I think Felyn would offer to treat him to lunch later or to a snack. Any of his choosing.
Oh, I definitely think that Bova would definitely be interested in that sort of thing. You would know that they've always been a particularly hearty eater, as one is when they're as large as Bova is. And you see them sort of kind of go to scratch at their nose a bit as they're thinking. And they go, "Hey, well, we gotta go to Bingo's before we leave."
Felyn laughed and she would say, I was hoping you'd say that.
We gotta.
Seems like a requirement at this point.
We gotta go say bye to the Bingo Brigade. What would you like to do? How long do you think you just sort of sit here before you get your things together? Do you think you go now? Do you think you're gonna wait to take Bova out maybe around lunch? What do you think you want to do?
I think seeing as there's not a whole lot that she has to do today, I think she'll probably wait until around lunchtime to go out and leave the house. And I think she'll, like, even after the breakfast meal is over, she's gonna make a point to, like, visit with each of the individual members and check in with everyone and just hang out.
Yeah, I can definitely see that being a thing that they would also like to do. Like I said, your den is particularly close-knit, and you're... Before you married, you also technically are the elder as the only person who is consecuted. I think that a lot of people in your den do come to you for... Guidance is a strong word, but I think that people really value your presence and opinions. And I think getting to connect individually with each person is something that people would really appreciate. And getting a chance to really connect with you again before it becomes harder to do so, and checking in on where everyone is in their own lives, I think is like definitely a really intimate moment that you can have with everybody.
And whenever it gets closer to lunchtime, she's gonna find Bova, and she's just gonna, like, point to them and say, "It's time for the Bingo Brigade."
We gotta go see the Bingo Brigade. Let's fuck it up.
Yeah.
And they like stomp out of the house.
She follows after them.
Delicious. So, because you both know this like the back of your hand, both of you are kind of walking in tandem as you go excitedly to go see Bingo's Buns and the Bingo Brigade. And something really fun about Bingo's Buns is that it is an establishment that has been around since Zavine was small in this district. And you remember growing up when you specifically were a child, and how it was just a cart run by like this elderly goblin woman that made these buns and sold them as a way to take care of her family. And now you can come, and it is its own stall. And it's run by the Bingo Brigade, which are 3 goblin cooks and sellers. You would know them by the names Bongo, Pango, and Pinga. And it's something that's you've had the humbling experience to see grow, but you've also had the comforting knowledge that the recipe's never changed and the taste is the same as when you were a small child before you even were a part of a den. And you guys walk up, and it's sometimes it's a busy stall and sometimes it's not. But you can definitely see that there's definitely a couple people around that are being helped. There's Pango in the back making the buns. And you see Pinga is like sort of standing. This very clear image of like standing on a corner of the stall countertop and like holding on to a post and leaning out and like hawking the wares essentially. And she sees you coming up and she starts waving frantically and she's like, "Hey!"
Felyn will wave back and kind of like speed up her walk to get up to the stall.
You both speed up and you see Pinga like hop down and like look up at you as the goblin is very small and is just like, "My favorite customers."
Felyn, I think, would just reply to that with a smile and say, "My favorite goblin cooks. How are you doing?"
We're the best goblin cooks in all of Rosona, I'll have you know. And you hear like a yeah coming from the back of the stall. As he is folding dough and like baking them and like grilling up these sausages to put in these buns. And Pinga puts her hands on her hips and she strikes a pose and she's like, "How many can I get ya?"
Felyn will think for a moment. And how big are these?
So I will say that I think it depends a little bit on your size, personally. But for a goblin, you have to hold it in two hands. And so I think for Felyn, you can hold it in one hand, but it's kind of chunky. I want to say maybe like a little bit bigger than like a banh mi, if you know that size proportion.
Yeah.
I can get a picture.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's a little bit bigger than that for you. And then for Bova, it's like the size of like a hot dog, obviously because of the size discrepancies. But they're pretty filling. They usually only have like one sausage, but they're like big bratwurst sausages, surrounded by like a fresh cooked and fried bun.
Fuck yeah. Felyn's gonna think for a second, and she's gonna look to Bova, kind of like waiting to see if they have a preference for how much they want, and she's gonna say, "No limits this time."
Bova looks at Felyn and is like, "You're gonna regret that." And they order 6 of them. And Pinga looks at you and says, "If you get 10, I'll give you a discount."
And Bova ordered 6?
Yeah.
Okay, Felyn's gonna order 4 then.
Delicious. So you get a little discount. I am gonna say I don't think I had a price for these, so give me a second. I'm just gonna pick a price based on the expenses things. Come here. Yeah, expenses, okay. Okay, so these are gonna be about they're about 6 copper a pop, right? But with the discount, Pinga sells them to you for only 4 silver.
Ooh.
Yes. And you get these piping hot sausage and buns. It takes a little bit, just because like 10 is a good amount, but also they're pretty good at this song and dance, especially now with 3 people. So it's very easy for you to wait like a couple minutes, and they're sort of like half wrapped up in paper, so you can really easily hold one and then bite into the other like end of it, and they're given to you in like this paper bag.
Delightful. I think Felyn will eat one now, and she's gonna save the other 3 that she got for later as a take home.
Yeah, definitely. Add 3 sausage and buns. Or no, add 3 Bingo's buns. What am I talking about? Yeah, to your inventory. That's delightful. Bova easily snoshes through 4 of them instantly. And also takes back 2.
Fucking delightful.
And there's like places to sit, like on curbs and stuff, and like in alleyways around here. But it's really common for people to get them to eat while walking. So you guys, as you're kind of noshing, are like walking through the streets, and just sort of like reminiscing on how many other days and nights you've done this. Yeah, this session's gonna get real emo. Ashes was really emo also.
I am soft like pudding.
Yeah.
I think as they're walking and kind of like reminiscing and swapping stories and whatnot, at some point Felyn would look up to them and say, "Would you like to accompany me to Skywatcher Sanctuary?"
Oh yeah, your temple?
I need to make sure that my replacements has everything that they need.
Yeah, we can go. I ain't got nothing better to do.
She will not, and whilst eating Bingo's bun, will make her way.
Delicious. So you make your way over to the Skywatcher Sanctuary, and it's this sort of... While it's small, because it's your local one, it's beautiful in the way that it is designed. There is a perfect geometry to the architecture, and it has sort of these glints of silver and gold detailing in some parts, especially the parts above. And as you walk in, you can see sort of the glass ceiling, and the glass baubles that are kind of like hanging around that, during services reflect light. But even now, whenever the sun isn't shining, it looks beautiful as you have like this perfect view of like the night sky.
Oh. I think walking in here, because Felyn has been pretty playful and casual all day today since she's just been around family, but walking into this temple, she kind of... The nervous energy has kind of calmed down as she kind of lets out a breath, relaxes a little bit, straightens up a bit to make herself a bit more proper for her role here.
Definitely. I think also as soon as you guys kind of step in, Bova still has like this paper bag full of buns, but like you see them take a bit. While you take this moment to kind of center yourself, you see that Bova kind of like... You see, every time I think about religious characters, I think about like what the equivalent of making the cross, the sign of the cross would be, and I can never figure it out. But Bova is doing the equivalent of making the sign, like just a small sign, not like a full prayer, but a bit of respect in coming into this temple. And you kind of look around, and the Skywatcher Sanctuary has a very small congregation of acolytes, but you have, technically you have a superior here, and it's somebody who is older than your current drow body is, so it's like who was taking care of it while you were, before your anamnesis and before you were reordained. And you know that her name is Inez, and she's this sort of like older drow woman, looks to be about in her 30s. And she is talking to a younger a younger woman. Sorry, I'm looking through all of my NPC notes. And you actually see this younger changeling woman with this sort of like short, white hair, but it has this blonde cast to it. And you would know that this is Sylvie, who is actually the acolyte that you know is specifically taking over your duties.
Yeah. And her name was
Sylvie.
Sylvie. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I was writing it down.
Yeah.
Felyn will go ahead and walk up to them. And she'll say, good day.
You see, they both turn to you, and Ines gives you sort of like this warm smile and a bow, but you can just see how like Sylvie's eyes sort of like light up, and she kind of has this big grin. And she gives you an even deeper bow, and she's like, Felyn, hello!
Felyn will smile and say, hello, Sylvie, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you?
A bit nervous, but I'm very excited.
I think that's fair. I think it's just so exciting what you're about to go do.
She nods and she says, quite a lot of possibilities can stem from this, as can stem for you from this opportunity as well. And
You see her start to preen as you say that. Keep talking, but she's like preening by your praise.
She kind of puts a hand on Sylvie's shoulder and she says, I'm very happy to have you taking charge of my duties. I have faith that you will do very well here.
You see her beam at you, and you see her go to actually put her hand over the hand you have on her shoulder, and she like squeezes it a little and she says, thank you. I'm really excited to prove myself. I'm hoping that I can make both of you proud.
Felyn will kind of laugh a bit, and she says, I'm already quite proud of you, but don't stop trying.
Oh, she's over the moon. She just kind of like giggles and like straightens herself up and clears her throat, and she says, well, you're leaving everything in good hands.
Felyn will nod and say, I wanted to just have one last check-in to make sure there is nothing else I could do to help you be prepared for this. If there is anything else you need from me. And she also like looks to Inez as she says that, kind of making sure that it's directed to both of them.
I think Inez kind of gives you like a very warm and affectionate smile at that, and it kind of transforms her like sort of severe elven features, and she says, she's going to say, I think it's kind of strange. I feel like it will be it'll be strange to not see you here after all you've done and how long you've worked with us. But I think we'll manage. I appreciate that you... She kind of laughs as she's trying to pick her words carefully, and she says, I think it's telling of your character that even before such a big change as you're about to have, that you're still wanting to do everything you can in a role that's not exactly yours anymore. Sorry, go ahead.
What were we gonna say?
Oh, I was going to have her put a hand on your shoulder. And it's not like a full squeeze, just like a little pat. But it's meant to be like reassuring. And I feel like even though you have a very a less casual relationship here than you do at home, it feels very affectionate in the way that she's like looking at you and talking to you. I don't know.
Felyn gets a little bit of an emotional smile. And she'll say, I have no doubt that you'll be able to run things smoothly. I mean, you have before. I was gone for quite a long time there for a bit.
It's true, but I can only hope that when you return, how do I want to say this? I have such a specific vibe I want to coalesce into this interaction. Hold on a second. The beauty of this place is that it shares the endless potential of change while still grasping the firm unsteadiness of the Luxon's light. I can only hope that when you return, it'll be still here, the same as it always was. But we and you will be closer to realizing what we're meant to be. Everything will be okay, Zavine. I believe that.
Zavine is gonna kind of get a little bit teary-eyed and kind of lower her head and nod. And she'll look back up and she'll say, it will be an honor to return here once I have gotten that much closer to reaching that goal. Thank you for everything. And she's gonna kind of look a little bit kind of like hopeful but a bit awkward, and she's gonna kind of hold her arms out a little bit.
Oh, she's gonna hug you, definitely. I was thinking that. Oh, I'm gonna cry. This is emotional. Oof.
Look, don't meow at me, I'm crying.
I think you hug for a long moment, and I feel like normally having somebody see such an intimate moment, especially whenever you both are so raw, could be awkward, but I think that you all legitimately, all of the acolytes here are very intimate in that regard, as people who are examining and chasing their best selves. And I think that the air around you is nothing if not welcoming and supportive.
I think at this point, Felyn would just go ahead and do her thing and kind of say goodbye to everyone and all the other acolytes. And at some point she will ask for a moment to kind of just sit and pray and contemplate.
Yeah, I definitely imagine that after this moment you are, given the space and the quiet to do that. And right before you go off to do that, I also feel like Sylvie gives one last smile and bow before you're left alone with your thoughts.
Yeah. I think once she is alone, she's just gonna just start praying to the Luxon and in general kind of thinking to herself. Contemplating the things that she's worried about, as well as reminding herself that this is a huge opportunity and like there's nothing that would have prevented her from taking this. And she's going to kind of pray for the Luxon's kind of guidance in this. Go ahead.
I was just going to... Well, actually, you keep saying your bits, and then I'll say my thing.
Okay, I was gonna say that after she's done having this moment to herself, she would go back to Sylvie and Ines to just let them know that she's leaving.
I think as you finish your time alone, and it always really centers you in a way that is very tangible, and you go to say goodbye to Sylvie and Ines one last time, and they send you off with high hopes and watery smiles, and as you step out, the weight that you've been feeling all day about how this is your last day is still there, but there's also so much hope in the way that you feel you can experience this change and what it means. As you meet up with Bova, who is finished having a moment for themselves.
She's just gonna go up and give him a hug.
Yeah, I think Bova gives you a hug and like picks you up in it. I don't think full squeezes, but like it's definitely a tender moment after you both have had some self-reflection and some realizations and had this moment to really connect with your faith. You know?
Felyn will kind of carefully rub at one of her eyes because she does have makeup on, but
yeah.
She's teary and wants to make sure that nothing gets out. And she's gonna kind of take a breath in. She says, I have one more stop on my way, but it is to the conservatory.
Oh yeah, you're gonna stop by your old school?
She nods, and she says, I have been taking some time in the evenings to study there, though not in the official sense. But I cannot help but feel like this place that I am going to will not exactly have a lot of literature on Tunamancy, so I would like to have something to take with me.
Oh yeah, no, that makes sense. I know you've been working on that a lot lately. Yeah, we can go. I'll just hang out.
She nods and she says, if you want to go back to then I will not stop you. It is not the most exciting place. I would not blame you.
You're not wrong. Love you to bits. I never got that book stuff, but Bova's gonna think about it for a second and kind of give you a gentle bonk and say, I'll see you around dinner time, yeah?
He nods.
Nice. Bova waves and goes to walk home.
She'll wave to them and then go make her way to the Marble Tomes.
The Marble Tomes, you go. And it is a place that you're very familiar with, both through your official studies and also now through your sort of personal recollection of studies as you kind of try more and more to regain some of the skills that you've lost. And as you sort of walk in to this sort of like beautiful, big, illustrious, like white marble building, you know where to go to ask for what you want as you kind of like weave through the occasional student and group as you go to find some of the faculty members in the library. And when you come in, you actually see another drow woman that recognizes you, and it was the librarian that was working even back whenever you were here the first time.
Looking delightful. Do I remember her name?
I did not give her a name, but I'll give her a name real quick. Hold on. You would know that her name is Messina.
Messina. Okay. Felyn will just kind of wave and walk over to her and say, Messina, it's good to see you.
Oh, it's wonderful to see you. Welcome back.
And I think Felyn will just have a bit of small talk with her, kind of asking about how the library is doing. Are there any rambunctious students this year? Things like that.
Just the tea, just a little bit of gossip.
Just a little bit of gossip. Something that Zavine has gained heavily in this life is a taste for gossip.
Oh, 100%.
But then eventually Felyn will kind of look at her and say, I was actually hoping to ask a favor of you.
Oh, well, yeah. What do you need?
Well, I'm going to be going to a very faraway place, and I am going there for studies specifically, but I do not think that this place will have any literature on dunamancy, and so I was wondering if I would be able to perhaps get my hands on a textbook or two to take with me so that I will not fall behind on what I've been practicing.
You see her face sort of light up with recognition as she gives like an, oh, that makes sense, that does make sense. And you see her think about it for a little bit, and you see her mouth kind of slant, because you can see her think about it, but you can see her think about it a bit, which makes you think that there's sort of like a this way and that way. But she looks at you, and she actually gives a nod and says, personally, I would support you wanting to continue your studies. I know that you have been studying here recently after your anamnesis, which, congratulations, by the way. I don't think I got to tell you that. But we might not have much, but I can see the merit of what you're doing, and I personally would like you to have that resource if available. So it's not much, but I can get you something.
I'll give a relieved smile, and she says, "Thank you so much. Anything at all would be appreciated, frankly."
And she gives you sort of like this warm smile, and she's like, all right, well, let me go and get something. And she kind of toddles off on her cane. And you see her come back, and she actually comes back with 2 different textbooks. And the first thing that you kind of notice about them is that they're very worn. I don't want to say they're too damaged to use, but like they're definitely like on their last legs as far as like books go. But she hands them to you and says that this should help with what level that you are at as somebody who's already studied these before. I thought that would give you the most use out of them.
Felyn will look elated by this.
Yes, 2 whole books.
2 whole books. And she will gladly take them and kind of gently flip through them. Big smile on her face. She says, "Miss Hina, thank you so much. I cannot express how... I don't want to say bored, but it would have been very frustrating not to have any access to these kinds of things."
No, I can understand that, definitely. I think being held back from things of your interest can be dreadfully boring. So I don't think that that's an incorrect thing to say. But hopefully this will help you if they aren't as blessed with the study as we are.
Then we'll hug them to her chest, and she'll say, "These will do wonders for me. Thank you so much."
Of course. And I hope that wherever you go, the light guides you.
Felyn will nod and give like a little bow, and she'll say, "And you as well." And after saying goodbye to her, I don't know how much time would be left in the day at this point.
I definitely think you've been doing stuff for like a couple hours. So it was lunch when you went out to the buns. I want to say that that was a pretty short endeavor. I want to say you were maybe there for like 15 minutes tops. But I think depending on how long you prayed, I think you were probably at the Skywatcher Sanctuary for maybe like an hour. And then I think like getting here and getting the book maybe took an hour. So I would probably say it's like maximum like 3 p.m. So it's really up to how you manage your time and when you want to, hit the road.
Okay. I think before heading back to her den, she's gonna go stop by the house from her birth family from this life.
Okay. Definitely. That is definitely something we can do. I'm gonna pause the recording because I have to use the bathroom, so give me a second.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello. Okay, cool. So we are going to go and see your birth family. We're gonna go see your family. Yeah, Den Uliana. Gotcha.
We don't have to roleplay out this conversation if you do not want to, but I think Felyn will mainly just be... I think she's told them where she's going to be going, so I think she's just spending kind of this little bit of afternoon time with them.
I definitely can see that also, and I think that they can definitely like appreciate it. Like I think that they definitely go out of their way to make this time like very focused on you. They're a bit more what's the word for it? They as a family are definitely more like high collar, very prim and poised. But you have never doubted how much that they love you and how they definitely... Your family has definitely always appreciated the fact that you still do come and like see them even though you are not technically of their den anymore, and they always make time to hang out with you when you do visit. And they even have like Luvan out here like the entire time, and Luvan, as you both have gotten older, has become a little bit more of a shut-in, a very sulky teen. but you all like have like a nice like get together, like technically I think maybe it would be like over dinner or over an activity, but you don't have to technically eat because you've eaten a lot today.
Yeah.
And that's something really sweet. I wrote this down in my notes that I actually think something really sweet when you're talking to your birth families, that they both are like giving you like advice about going off to university, but it's all stuff you know from Zavine. And I think that it's really cute how there's that sort of like disconnect where they're like, oh, we want to prepare like our kid while not fully registering that it's something you've already experienced. And I think that's really sweet. And another thing of note about this interaction is that there we go. Luthan is particularly interested in when you talk about this this weird school you're going to. And nothing else really comes of that. Nothing really comes from him specifically, but that is just something that you would note, and I think that's also very interesting.
I think first of all, I don't think Felyn would ever like try to correct the birth family. I think she's just gonna play along as though this is totally my first time going to college.
That's really cute. I love that.
And I think she'll specifically talk to Luthan and ask about what book they're into or if they've done any writing recently.
Their reaction to that being asked in public around the parents, very embarrassed. Very much like it's very much like whenever you ask like your friend about anime, but their parents are like right there, you know, it's very much like embarrassed about his own interests. But he does like tell you a little bit about it, if like sullenly, and like he kind of like mentions that like you've always noticed that they have like when they write things don't really pan out, there's a lot of like scratch marks through it, there's a lot of like papers thrown away, there's a lot of like, you know, like them working out what they want to do, but like they give you the impression that they're starting to figure it out.
Nice.
Yeah, so I think that's really cute. All while acting like an annoyed, angry teenager, obviously, but I think it's cute.
I think. Oh, what?
Oh no, go ahead. I was just breathing. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. I think while Felyn is visiting with them, whenever she specifically spends time with this den, she falls very heavily onto Felyn as she was before Anamnesis. And kind of falls more heavily into that mischievous kind of prankster kind of thing. And at some point, if noticing Luthan's kind of interest in this school, she'd kind of lean in conspiratorially and say, you know, if you want, I could see about potentially getting a book back for you from this college.
He like looks at you and he's like, you won't.
She gets a mischievous grin and she says, watch me.
And then he says like, you won't, but the second time it's like in awe. He's like, you won't.
She kind of leans back and she says, you don't know what I'd be willing to do for my sibling.
Okay, but if you did that, that'd be pretty cool.
It would be pretty cool. I'm gonna see what I can do.
That'd be pretty cool.
I got some plans.
And you see it's like definitely a situation where like they're trying to hide like a mirroring mischievous smile, but there's like a twinkle like in their eye and they're just like, okay, all right, okay, my sister's cool, okay. And it's really cute. It's a really cute moment. I love that. I love your families. Everybody's characters are gonna be like fucked up when they teleport in. They're gonna be like sobbing. It's like, my please.
My family. Yeah, I think after spending a bit of time with them, she'll go ahead and I guess like invite them if they want to come to her den for the kind of send off, and let them know that it would also be kind of a send off for Bova.
Yeah, I think generally whenever, like, there's technically been an option for both of your dens to kind of like meet and hang out, but I think what's really interesting is that your birth family probably doesn't take up on that very often after like the initial like meeting. Like obviously there wasn't a handoff because you were like anamnesized, you like knew things, you were like grown, but like you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that they would take that up. I think that they would see it as, getting to see, not only see you the last little bit before you go, but also, I guess, getting a look into your complete life, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah.
And they would come with you home for your big dinner.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And as you come home, and you kind of open the door to your big multi-family household, saying that a celebration is underway is like incorrect, but it's definitely like warmly lit. There's the smell of food already. There's people talking and laughing. People see you come in and they sort of greet you with like these warm cheers and yells as you come back to your family, and you see sitting at the table kind of chatting with Merritt, drinking a cup of tea, is Nim, your ex husband, sort of chattering with the members of the den.
Nice. I think after greeting some of the people, she will go to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And she will kind of smile at Nim and say, "Well, aren't you a sight for sore eyes?"
You see they both look up at you, and there's this sort of like quiet smile on Nim's face. You would know that Nim and Merritt have always gotten along whenever they hang out. But you see him kind of look up at you, and the smile kind of like goes a little crooked. And he says, "Well, I couldn't let you get sent off and me not be here."
She'll just smile, and I think she'll go ahead and sit down with them and just kind of talk and chat, kind of catch up a little bit more with Nim.
Something really fun, and I wanted this to be really referenced in the RP, is that nothing really changes with Nim. You guys are by far the most interesting thing that happens with him ever. So I really like the idea that you always check, and Nim is like, I do nothing when I'm not here besides count money and listen to people argue about money, but thank you for thinking I'm interesting. But he definitely like appreciates the rapport, and I feel like he, at this point in like y'all guys' like timeline, Nim actually blends pretty well into the den because he has been around them for so long, even if it's not all the time. Okay, this is technically a retroactive thing, but I keep thinking about this in my head, so I want to bring this up to you and see if it's something that you or Felyn would like. I keep imagining him going to take your hand as way of greeting, and in something he hasn't really done since your anamnesis, he kisses your knuckles, kind of tentatively, and helps you sit down at the table.
Felyn will kind of get like a hint of blush on her cheeks, and she will kind of squeeze his hand back, but she does look kind of like almost a bit hesitant in the sense that she still feels that almost sort of disconnect.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely still imagine that that is still there. I cannot imagine that anamnesis is an easy thing to experience when you're intimate with somebody as a couple. So I can definitely imagine that it's like, is this, it's in an air of like, is this okay? Is this not okay? It's definitely like you guys are awkwardly still stepping through this moment, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that. I love you, Felyn.
But yeah, and then I think she'll spend the rest of this time with everyone just enjoying everybody's company as much as she possibly can.
Yeah. As this kind of dinner goes on, it's definitely a situation of like, everybody is aware that it's a send-off, but it's still a send-off celebration. So as you guys are having this really intimate and warm dinner, there is drinks. Like, there's definitely like some people who are partying a bit harder. There's definitely like Bova's going ham because Bova doesn't have to leave until tomorrow morning. But it creates this air of like celebration. And so even though all day you felt this sort of bitter sweetness about everything, it's nice to have a celebration of what's about to happen, kind of warm that over, you know? And the night wears on, or the afternoon wears on. And this is whenever I ask you, when and how do you want to leave?
I think Felyn would want to leave not like after this dinner is over, but kind of near the end of it.
Yes.
I think something to note of her character is that a lot of times the characteristics of her two lives will kind of come out depending on the company that she's in.
I've noticed that, and I think it's very cool.
Yes, and I think here having Zavine's den and Felyn's den all in one place and all together and just surrounded by loved ones, I think she has a kind of one of those rare moments of having a near like equilibrium with those two personalities. And it's something that I think would give her peace and confidence, and so I think she'd want to leave while those people are still there and kind of leave on a high note.
100%. I can definitely agree.
So I think she'll kind of get all of her things in her fucking basket. She'll go ahead and she'll grab her parasol, all of that good stuff. She'll kind of go back out to everybody. And I don't have like a speech in mind, but I imagine she'd say something as like a general to everyone, like a big goodbye, and letting them know how much she cares for all of them. And how she'll miss them, but she'll be sure to be back as soon as she can.
Yeah.
And then yeah, and I think once that's done and she says gives the last hugs and whatnot, she'll go somewhere a bit private, maybe like in the yard or something, I don't know. We'll use the scroll.
I think that's really sweet. You say this thing to your family, and you give your last goodbyes, and everybody sort of has this toast or this cheers after you say it, and there's this sort of cacophony of people giving you well wishes. There's echoes of like, I love you, and go get 'em, and you're gonna do great, and don't forget to call, stuff like that. And you're filled with warmth as you walk out from the golden light of your home filled with everyone that you love, and you stand in the yard in your garden. And you have everything held together. You have like your parasol on like your wrist, but then like your basket's on your elbow, and you have the spell scroll and you read it. You've used spell scrolls before, I imagine. It's not that surreal of an experience for you to use one. As you say the incantation, you see the edges start to burn up as it is used. And there's a layering effect to your voice the farther and farther you get, as your body starts to feel light, as you feel the process of teleportation take effect. And in the dark, with the golden light of your home spilling out, you are gone. That is the last thing you remember until the game starts. And that's where you're at. How are you feeling? How's Felyn feeling? How's Zavine feeling?
Emo!
Yeah, it's really emo. Ashes was also really emotional as well.
I love my family.
I love your family too. I think they're really fun.
This was delightful.
It was really nice. And I am going to go ahead and I'm going to stop the recording. And we'll pick up when you are in Arcavios.
Woo!